Here, so we'll kick off. My name is Mike Amoroso, and I am the Client Success Manager here for YourStake. I'm joined by my colleagues, Jack Cassidy, Robin Wood, and Morgan McGovern. They'll be manning the chat, so if you have any questions that you want to drop in the chat, they'll be available to answer. But welcome back to those that are rejoining us, and for those of you that missed out on our last video, welcome. This is the second in a four-part series aimed at providing our clients, our current users, with a refresher, as well as catching some of our newer subscribers up to speed. We'll be continuing where we left off, but don't worry, if you missed our last session, I will provide you with enough context to understand where we left off. If, however, you would like to view our first session, YourStake 101, my colleagues will be dropping that in the chat, and we'll also be sending that out in a follow-up email after today's session. Similar to last time, we have some time at the end to answer some questions, so feel free to wait till then, or speak up if you're following along at home and you get lost as we go. So to start things off, you would log into YourStake here, and we're going to be going over some of the tools on the side that are available in our professional tier, particularly the Portfolio Designer and the Fund Screener, and we'll show you how you would continue within that scenario of we have a new client that we're looking at onboarding, and how can we differentiate our practice, right? So to start things off, last time we built a report where we were comparing two portfolios, and we wanted to differentiate our practice. So on the left-hand side, right, we have our portfolio or our model, and on the right-hand side here, we have how the client was currently invested. We've already applied the client's value set that we built last time, and in discussing the potential of how they could be invested according to their values with this sample firm balanced equity portfolio, we identified that we were kind of underperforming when it came to strong climate commitments and loans to fossil fuels. And these were two areas that were of particular interest for this client. So they would like to see how we can go about improving on those two metrics in particular. So for something like that, what I would do is I would use the Portfolio Designer tool. Excuse me. So right from here, we can click on Portfolio Designer. And we can start off with that same sample balanced equity portfolio. And then we can apply the same value set that we built before that was in that last report that I had just shown. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to look at this balanced equity portfolio, and we're going to ask YourStake to improve this portfolio while considering the cause areas within the value set for this particular client. And we would like to be at least as good on, let's say, financial, let's say 5-year returns, as well as, we'll say, expense ratio and shareholder engagement. And I can click Generate Portfolio. Underneath this Generate Portfolio bar, we also have the opportunity to expand or go into some advanced options. So I could filter how I'm going to improve this portfolio by ETFs, mutual funds. In this case, we're going to be looking at both. I can select whether or not that they have an ESG mandate, as described within Morningstar. I can filter for share class. I can also look at what level of engagement the asset managers are engaged with companies within the fund. And I can even look at an allowable universe. So for some of you that may have a broker-dealer where you only have a select number of funds that you have access to, you could load that in under prospects and portfolios as a portfolio and create that as the universe that you're going to look at first. Right now, I don't have any of those filters selected. So we're going to look at the larger universe in total. And we're already done after clicking Generate Portfolio. So moving down here to the summary statistics, right, we can look at how this new portfolio with the newer alternatives would perform on a 1, 3, and 5-year basis. For those on a 5-year basis, we're essentially going, or for like, let's say for a 10-year basis, If we have a fund that doesn't have a 10-year track record, we would remove that from the calculation going forward. And that information is available when you click on the 10-year, and then there's a little eye that pops up. But we'll stick with the 5-year for now. And we can see that here on the left, we have how our current balanced equity portfolio would perform relative to these metrics. And then on the right, we have how the balanced equity portfolio would perform if we accept the changes that YourStake has identified. And we would improve on all of these metrics here that are highlighted in green. So we would achieve greater values alignment, we would improve that return, we would lower our expense ratio, and we've even improved on our R-squared returns and our Sharpe ratio as well. Scrolling down, we can see where we would want to make those corrections or swap out those funds. On the left, we have my current portfolio as it stands right now. And on the right, highlighted in green, we have the suggestions that YourStake is making to improve this existing portfolio. What I loved about this tool when I used it as a financial planning analyst is we relied on our broker dealer to provide us with a lot of macro information in terms of how we were allocating across the portfolio. I don't have to change any of that analysis. The only thing I would have to do in order to achieve these metrics up here is just make the suggested swaps that are highlighted in green here. So I keep all of that macro analysis the same. I'm just swapping out for a better fund. From here, I can save the portfolio, or I can move over and view an impact report. So now we have that portfolio that we just improved upon here on the left, and then the sample portfolio that we started on that we loaded up, we loaded up in here. For this comparison, right, this isn't exactly what we were previously looking at. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to select the sample portfolio that we were looking at that is how the client is currently invested with their current financial advisor. Right. And as you can see, we improved on those two areas, right? I think we were at 1% on strong climate commitments, and we were at a -7 when it came to loans to fossil fuels. So we've improved in those areas. In some of the areas, I believe like toxic air hazards or maybe even clean energy companies, we lost a little bit. And that's where you would come in as the financial advisor and have a conversation with your clients about making trade-offs. When I was a financial planning analyst, we would often try to guard against our clients chasing impact, and we'd have a conversation with them about diversification. We utilize diversification in order to achieve a healthy portfolio and drive returns. We're also looking at diversification when it comes to impact as well. But this portfolio right here meets all of the clients' concerns. We've obviously improved on a non-financial basis on how they're currently invested. And this is maybe something that we would want to go forward with, or at least demonstrate differentiation in how we can achieve impact for the client. So with that, I think the next tool I'd like to bring up is our fund screener. So we can just click over into the fund screener. And this is another tool that can do some of the same features that we have, but it's slightly different. And there's a different functionality that's involved with this one. So we can load in that same, when we open up the fund screener, we're going to be prompted to apply a client's set of values. So it's the same level of values that we've been using so far. And then right from here in the fund screener, I can search for a particular fund if I would like. And clicking on that will bring up a heat map of that fund itself. It's looking at the value set that I've already selected, gives me a little bit of information as well as links to the disclosures and shareholder engagement that they're working on. And then how this particular fund is performing relative to the value set that I've selected. You can toggle it and look at all of the metrics if you really want to dive into the particular fund and the metrics, or just look at the value sets that are relevant to the client. And then you can click on these tiles as well, so you can see how the fund is performing within our attributes page. Takes a little bit to load this up, but it'll bring up a page that looks very familiar, like when you click on a report and dive into it. So it looks a little bit like that. Oh. Just go back to that real quick. Another feature that we have here at the top is a universe. Again, same concept as before when we were looking at the portfolio designer. I can create a universe of funds that I have access to as an advisor, build that as a portfolio in the prospects and portfolios tab, and then call that up here. So I'm only looking at either a universe of funds that I have access to or a watch list that I created. The way I used this in the past as a financial planning analyst is I would build a watch list in my Morningstar, or excuse me, my advisor workstation, create that as a portfolio, and then I would load that up and build that here as a starting universe to look at. Another feature you can do is utilize this tool in and of itself to build a watch list. In our previous session, we talked about how you can use the value set not only for individual clients, but even establishing a value set for your practice itself, and having that value set guide your decision-making going forward. So you can utilize this right here, load up a value set for your practice, and then utilize this tool to build a universe or a watch list of funds that you want to kind of keep your eye on. Moving further down here, by default, the categories that we look at are going to be the large cap category, but you can either click on this little gray bar here, or you can click on the category and type column header at the top, and it'll bring up this screen where you can select various types of funds relative to their Morningstar category classification. You can also toggle between ETFs and mutual funds. In this case, we're going to look at both. So we'll stick with large cap for now as we continue to move down. We also have access to both how the non-financial information as well as Morningstar financial information, all right here in the same dashboard. From this tool, you can click on the individual funds themselves. That'll pull up the heat map and allow you to dive a little bit deeper into the fund, similar to what we just saw in the portfolio designer. As you can see, we have these column headers at the top, ticker and name. So we'll be able to go in here and we can filter by fund manager. We already showed you the category and type. We can also filter on engagement level. If you ever have any questions on what we mean by engagement level, what we mean by overall alignment, you can click on either the help button up here at the top, that provides you with the definition of those individual categories, or there's these little question marks here. You can click on those, brings it up as well. All of those, that information is available. We get a lot of questions on what does overall alignment versus values alignment means. The answer and those definitions are right here and available for you. You can filter on expense ratio, asset, and then we can even filter on looking at overall alignment and custom values. For custom values, we can pull up all of the metrics that apply to this value set and start to eliminate funds that maybe are achieving less than what we're looking for. So in this case, I want to filter out anything that's below a 6 on values alignment. So I'm looking at just those funds. Right from here, from this dashboard, not only can I can use this to not only create a universe, but I can even create a portfolio from scratch right from here. So I can take, for example, I open up the portfolio editor. And if you missed that, it's just this little purple bar here at the top that opens that up. And I can add funds in here. I can go in, eliminate looking at the large cap, and maybe I want to look at mid cap. I can add that right here in as well, if I'd like. You can create an entire portfolio right here. You have the option to save that portfolio and save it however you would like. And then when you go back to your portfolio page, it'll be available here as a new portfolio. Right. Once I've built a portfolio, I could generate a report that'll take me to my reports page, or I can also just pull up, clean this out. I can just pull up one of my existing portfolios. And then I can start to make those changes right here in the portfolio. I can click on swap, or I can click on add and add a fund to the portfolio. Once, let's say you want to use the fund screener to build a universe of funds. Once you go over to the prospects and portfolios tab, you can then go into edit go over to prospects and portfolios tab, and then you can even download this list of funds and create it. It'll be available as a CSV file for you to download and then potentially upload to your Morningstar workstation. In addition, so those are our portfolio designer tool as well as our fund screener. I do also want to show you our metaphor reports, but with that, I just wanted to pause, see if at this point we had any questions or if there's anything I could help with. See, there's a few. All good? All right, cool.
Mike, I like your background.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Show your stripes.
Yeah.
This is for New York, actually. So if anyone's curious, these color bands represent the average annual temperature increase starting, I believe, at 1944 to today. So,
Wow.
Another report that is available in our professional tier are our metaphor reports. So we can go in here, we'll load up that same balanced equity portfolio. We can select that the same list of values. And what YourStake has done is it's looked at that value set and then mapped those values to a set of metaphors. So we can start talking about more tangible aspects within the portfolio rather than a percentage or some arbitrary number, right? Instead, we can say something like, if you invested $1 million over the course of 10 years, you would be responsible for just under 45,000 fewer alcoholic drinks or 9 fewer asthma cases. This is a really great way to engage with your clients, provide them with something that's a little bit more tangible and easier to grasp onto and understand. And this is also a great feature to use for your own external marketing. You could kind of aggregate all of the households within your book of business, and then say, hey, our practice is responsible for 44,000 fewer alcoholic drinks. Or we can say our clients are invested in less single-use plastics in the ocean. So things like that. Anyone have any questions on the metaphors? A question that we get a lot on the metaphors is like, how are you calculating this? Or like, where are you getting this information? Again, similar to all of our reports, the metrics are hyperlinked, so you can just click on those. We give you a description of how we've calculated that, as well as being able to dive into the individual funds themselves. So this will show you the holdings as well as comparing it to the benchmark. We have our source for the information, and then you can even click on the individual funds themselves. Oh, excuse me. And then at the bottom, we have our disclaimer as well. Does anyone have any questions on any of this so far? All right. All of the features we discussed today are contained in our professional tier. If you'd like to trial a new feature or add it to your existing subscription, please let us know. We do offer these tools a la carte. So if there's something that you want, but maybe not all of it, there is the option to do that. Feel free to reach out to either Robin or myself via email, or if you go to our homepage, you can request the demo and just set up some time with us this way. And we'll be happy to give you a little bit more of a demo, trial, and go on from there. With that, I'd like to open up the discussion to see if there's any questions before turning it over to Gabe, who's going to be maybe teasing some of our new features that we've been working on. Any questions? All right, great. So I'll stop share and then turn it over to the team.
Looks like Gabe might be.
Yeah, you got
Looks
held
like
up
we
on
don't-
something. So if you something else to share.
I'll take it over. I'll go back to
Yeah. We do have a question. How often is the mutual fund data updated?
So that our data, both in terms of our metrics and the mutual fund data, is essentially in real time. So as fund managers are updating their filings, that would be reflected in the information that we present. Same thing with our metrics. It all really depends on the frequency in which the fund managers, as well as the providers of our metrics, are updating their information. Some are on an annual basis, quarterly basis, so forth. But ours is as current as the latest issue. All right, let me get back to sharing the screen here. I'm just going to pull up a sample portfolio real quick. Oh. All right, sorry about that. There's a lot of excitement on kind of the technology with regards to AI and how that could potentially transform a multitude of industries as well as financial services. We've been working on how can we integrate AI in order to, one, reduce the tech stack that you all are responsible for, as well as saving you time to provide better service to clients. So that's kind of our ultimate goal on how we want to employ this. How can we best empower financial advisors to bring this technology to clients? One example that we kind of looked at is how can we do a better analysis, initial analysis of a client's incoming portfolio, onboard them faster, or even do a periodic checkup on a client's existing portfolio. So for this example, we've got a client, they provided us an Ameritrade financial statement. Rather than having to sift through this or have someone on our staff go through this individual statement, as well as maybe multiple statements that they're providing with us, we wanted to find a way to do that better. And this tool is not currently live. We're still building it. It's kind of very much in beta, but wanted to provide you kind of with a sneak peek. And by all means, I would love to hear any feedback or potential use cases you might identify as we show you this. So we would go to the portfolio checkup tool, which would bring you to this page. And then you just go in to upload. We would select the file. So once we've added that file, we'll just click Analyze Statement. And this does take a little bit, but it's going through and it's scanning that file and it's pulling out all of the information that would be relevant. And we'll get into what that information would be, but it's going to look at asset allocation. It's going to look at expense ratios. We're going to look at some of the risk involved, and then be able to tease out some insights on what we may want to discuss with our clients going forward.
And while this loads, I think we can, oh, there it is. Sorry, Mike.
Yeah, no worries. Go ahead, finish that.
Oh, no, I was going to say that, as it was loading, I was going to mention the hope is that this will save you a lot of time in terms of just data entry types of tasks. As you can take this, feed it in here. Not only will you get the information extracted as an Excel or CSV file, but also you'll be able to do that sort of portfolio analysis here that's on the screen.
Right. So we have here on the left the portfolio checkup tool. We have the account statement here on the right. We've been able to pull out all of those individual holdings. From here, I have the ability to, if there was a mistake, maybe I want to delete the cash allocation, which tends to be quite a bit in this portfolio. I could delete that right from here. I can also have the ability to add in cost basis as well. If there's any corrections to the values that I would like to make, or if I would like to give this a particular account name, I can make that corrections here for all of the holdings within the portfolio. Once I'm done, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and we're going to continue on with our checkup.
And perfect.
And that's going to bring up.
Gabe has joined.
Oh, excellent.
Oh, yeah. Did you want me to
Yeah, if
go
you would,
for it,
yeah,
or
if
do
you
you want
want
to keep going?
Yeah, if you want to take over from here, and then I'll drive while you talk.
Yeah, sure. So I guess I don't know if you already covered this, but the main goal is to save you all time. Mike, I don't know if you shared how much of your time you spent doing a lot of this manual entry, pulling from a statement and turning it into a CSV. But I mean, even before this, if you scroll up a little, Mike, you can click that download button at the top. I don't know if you already covered that, and be able to pull in all of the holdings, all the transaction information, all of the realized gains and losses, basically everything that you need to be able to do an analysis on that portfolio. And then we also do the analysis for you as well. So the goal here is saving time by going from a PDF statement into a portfolio that you can upload into any other system or our system. It'll be saved in our system already. And then having the ability to have an automatic analysis that's generated. So if you want to pull up that spreadsheet, there you go. It's got the holdings, transactions, realized gains, losses, exposure, asset allocation, a lot of kind of basic information there. And then if you go back to the checkup, now instead of spending 30 to 45 minutes pulling that information in, you've got that in 30 seconds. And then you can get a little at a glance view of what's going on within this portfolio. It's just one account for now. And then you can check out what's going on with the fees. You can check out sector diversification. You can check out all these different areas of analysis to be able to understand the portfolio better yourself. If you scroll up a little bit too, you can see select a benchmark for comparison. You don't need to change that benchmark, but you're able to select any of the portfolios that you have uploaded in YourStake in there. And then you can just run an analysis on whatever statement that you get compared to a benchmark, compared to one of your model portfolios, compared to anything. If you keep scrolling towards the bottom, you'll be able to see that there's a values analysis as well, and financial performance, account types, all that different information. Right now, you can see that there's a little message box at the bottom where you can actually ask any question that you want. So for example, you can ask, how is my portfolio doing? You can ask which holdings are driving up this portfolio's expense ratio. And it'll be able to answer financial questions, values questions, whatever you need it to do. And then last thing I'll say while that's running is, so step 1 is upload the portfolio. Step 2 is get these analytics to be able to understand what's going on. And then step 3, we're adding in very soon a download presentation button, which will extract all of this into a client-facing friendly PowerPoint report that you can then present and share with the client. Cool. So I think the goal for this was to give a little bit of a teaser, and then we are offering to do individual one-on-one sessions with all of you to be able to give you access to this early access, because right now it's available for early access. So that's something that, do you want to drop a link in the chat to be able to schedule a time where we can go through this with you? And right now we're just enabling this for people in early access, but in the coming weeks, we'll make it available more broadly and generally.
The link to schedule time is in the chat there.
And then do you want me to cover the investment search feature as well?
Yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be great, Gabe.
Perfect. So this is our other, I'm guessing before I joined the call, the team mentioned that we are seeing the opportunity for new technology to really improve the advisor experience in a lot of different dimensions. That first one is making it much easier to be able to take a statement and get the analytics that you need from it. And then another one is around portfolio research that I'll show you as well. So again, very basic alpha version, but what you're able to do is have this investment search functionality. I typed in alternative forestry, and we're able to see a list of companies, funds, or both that fit this description. So we can try another search query as well. If anyone has one in mind, you can call it out. But what this is really good at is, let's say you think that batteries are going to do really well and you want to know which companies are involved in neodymium, as an example. You can just look for any very specific investment thesis. Or we had some people that looked for sustainable water management or lithium manufacturers, or really whatever you want to do. So if anyone wants to call it out, we can do a live test. Otherwise, I'll pick another thing.
Publicly traded only?
Publicly traded for now, correct.
Okay.
All right, let's try sustainable water management because I don't see any. Oh, maybe I'm not seeing the chat. Cobalt mining. All right, let's give it a shot. So we can do our fast search or a more accurate search. I'll do the more accurate one. And this will take about a minute and a half for now, but we are working on massively changing and improving the speed. And this is something that actually, we can put this link in the chat. This one is going to be available for everyone right now. So we're still going to be making big improvements to the way that everything is displayed and adding more contextual information around here. But the basics of this works currently. And the way it does it is it looks through fund prospectus language, looks at investment strategies, looks at company 10Ks and descriptions, and then is able to find companies and funds that best match those search results. So you're able to explore your investment theses and be able to do that portfolio research in a much easier way. So maybe I'll put this link in the chat as well, unless someone beat me to it. And yeah, so it'll be about 30 more seconds. In the meantime, Mike, Rob, and Jack, anything else that you want to share about this particular feature or use cases? So far, we've had people come up with exclusion lists for direct index, inclusion lists, sorry, for direct index portfolios, as well as just explore particular theses. So yeah, we've got Global Cobalt Corp, Cobalt Blue Holdings, Fuse Cobalt, Canada Silver Cobalt, Geovic Mining, and then we're able to see, this is mostly looking at companies for now, but we can also filter by funds, and we can see which funds are actually going to be good fits for this as well. So I'm actually curious to hear the person that asked about cobalt mining. Who was the person that asked about cobalt mining? Let's see. Jared. Jared, are you able to share if this is something that you've already done searches for, or would love to hear your thoughts?
No, I mean a little, but not really. It's just something that's, kind of been on my mind. I don't know if you guys saw the podcast that Rogan did a couple months ago with the guy that went into the African cobalt mines, and just the absolute disgusting horror that's going on there with the slave labor mining cobalt that is used in basically all rechargeable batteries for everything that we do. And if we want to move towards this transition, like as we've always done in the world, we're doing it on the backs of the poor and typically non-white people. So it's just something that popped into my mind when you were asking for a particular option to look for. That's all.
Yeah.
And trying to get it where it's, people don't really even realize that it's a thing so much right now, unfortunately, in the general public, and making people aware of it, and also saying, hey, this is something that we don't necessarily want in our portfolio either.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. And yeah, I initially said this was great for inclusion lists. I guess now it's also great for exclusion lists as well, if you want to avoid companies that are doing a particular business practice. I think I'll pass it back to Robin and Mike at this point.
Yeah, I was just going to add too that with that investment search tool, your investment idea or strategy or theme or whatever you're looking for doesn't necessarily have to be a particular product or something like that. It could be something as broad as show me, or, I'm looking to replace a large cap investment bank holding in my client's portfolio. So let's see what's out there. Something like that could be a use case too. So it's very broad usage was the only thing that I wanted to add. We've had a couple clients that we have showed this to as well that have said, I get a client and they say, we see, I'm interested in this type of thing. And are there any companies out there that I could invest in that would incorporate this? So being able to use this, I think, is quite nice, where you can find those companies or funds.
A great question, Andrew. Yeah, it's coming from 10Ks for companies, as well as their general description. We'll be adding in later on news as well to be able to have updated information, but that's coming in soon. The other things that we'll be adding in is additional information about basic financials, things like that you'll be able to see when the search results come up. And yeah, Scott, is the AI feature live now or still being tested? Both. It is live in alpha. So you'll be able to access it, but it's definitely still being tested. And for anything in alpha, there will be bugs. That's just